Hi, once again, I'm Brian Greenstone, the president of Pangea Software. And I know that it's been a while since our last episode of the Behind the Scenes series that we've been doing, and I apologize for that, but we've been busy working on new stuff. And I know that before I mentioned that in this episode we would be talking about Cro-Mag Rally. Well, change of plans on that. Instead, I want to talk about our very latest iPhone app called The Finger. Yes, I know what you're thinking, and yes, that's what this app does. The idea behind The Finger is that you control a 3D hand to make it say things by way of hand gestures like you see here. The Finger comes with over 90 built-in hand gestures that you can use to build animations, and they're all grouped into categories like attacks, expressions, action, pointing, numbers, and so on. You just drag and drop the icons on the left into the animation timeline on the right to build your sequences. You can also edit various parameters of the animation, including the transition types and timing. It is very customizable. Speaking of customizable, in addition to the over 90 built-in poses that The Finger comes with, there's also a built-in pose editor. And this pose editor lets you create and save your own custom poses. Those poses can be any gesture that you want. The pose editor uses an intuitive touch interface to bend the fingers and move and scale the entire hand. It's very easy to build just about any hand gesture that you want. And as you can imagine, there are certain obvious hand gestures that do not come with The Finger, since Apple would likely not approve it if it did. But there's nothing preventing you from adding those gestures yourself. One other very cool feature of The Finger is the ability to automatically generate American Sign Language from text. You simply enter the text, press the Generate ASL button, and voila! The matching sign language gestures are generated in the animation timeline. Now that's a very brief demonstration of what The Finger can do, and there are a ton of really funny animations that you can build with it. And playing around with the pose editor is kind of a Zen-like experience, and you'll know exactly what I mean if you download the app. So let's talk a little about how The Finger came to be. Now, it had become apparent that the App Store was starting to be taken over by a certain breed of applications that you and I commonly refer to as fart and beer apps. The more professional term for this is novelty app. So I decided that I wanted to try my hand, no pun intended, at doing a novelty app. And the idea for The Finger really just popped into my head one day, and the finished application as it is now is pretty much exactly what I envisioned that it would be. The first step in getting this app going was to rewrite our 3D character animation tool called BioOreo. BioOreo is a tool that I originally wrote way back in 1997 for our first 3D game for the Mac called Weekend Warrior. And over the years, I'd continued to tweak BioOreo as needed for our various games, but time had taken its toll on BioOreo, so it really needed a ground-up rewrite, and this took several weeks. While I was working on BioOreo, my brother, Peter Greenstone, who is a professional 3D animator, and he's actually done the animation for many of our other games, he was working on the 3D model of the hand. And the poor guy, because he'd had to re-rig that hand model in BioOreo probably a dozen times, because every couple of days I'd end up changing something in the BioOreo file format and it would destroy all the work he'd done. But, you know, practice makes perfect, and by about the 10th time he'd re-rigged that hand model, he'd gotten pretty good at it. One of the cool things that we did with Peter's hand model was to give it the toon effect. When you see it rendered, the hand has a cartoony effect due to the thick black outline. And the original version of the hand that we were working with didn't have this effect, and the hand really lacked the visual contrast that it needed. But the toon effect really helps make the image pop out of the screen. The original development title of The Finger was actually iHand, but it ends up that another company already owns the trademark iHand, and we didn't really like that title anyway because iHand's kind of cliche. So we wanted to come up with something better. And the obvious thing would have been to simply call it The Hand, right? I mean, that would have made the most sense. But The Hand, from a marketing perspective, was kind of a dull name, and it's very important in the App Store to have a title of your app that's going to attract people's attention, and certainly The Finger does, because when people see The Finger, they tend to do a double take. And also, we wanted to be able to say things like give yourself the finger or give your friends the finger for Christmas. You get the idea. Like I said before, the finger comes with over 90 built-in hand gestures, but we want to be able to add more in future updates. So, if you think of a gesture that we should include, then please let us know. Send an email to support@pangeasoft.net, and we'll try to include it in a future update. Well, that's the lowdown on the finger. It's an app that took us about 2.5 weeks to develop, spread out over about 2.5 months. And it really is a cool little app, and there's absolutely nothing else like it on the App Store. So, until next time, I hope you'll go to the App Store and give yourself the finger today.